We are voice actors.
Yeah.
Talk about we are the voice actors. Oh, it's good to see everybody. I hope you are
Um,
having a great Tuesday. It's June 10th.
mm.
That's insane. The kids got out of school last week,
Some of
and
them are still in, which I find so
my
weird. I'm like,
wife
what
is. My
is
wife is still
happening?
teaching. But they're out this week. So I'm not
Mm.
sure but yeah, but yeah, but it's been a good June so far.
Yeah, for sure.
So we are talking today
Hmm.
about the scamadoodles.
Yeah.
Scamadoodles. So if you are new, just real quick, make sure you subscribe, all that jazz. Vanessa, hello, hola. It's good to see Vanessa. Leave a comment, tell us where you're from,
Yeah.
and as always, we really like questions.
Hmm.
So ask us about what does your coffee cup say?
It's Medina
Yes.
decaf, man.
Oh my gosh. That
Uh,
is good stuff. I have my on-air cup today.
this really should
But
be tattooed on me somewhere, I think.
that's the good stuff right there.
Hmm.
Death before caffeine.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, well let's let's talk
So,
about scams.
yeah. So, we talked about AI last week. That kind of got us to this scam topic. And this is really funny because if you go to Google and you type in VO scam or VO scam script, this is really, really hysterical because the AI on Google
Uh-huh.
generates a list of what some of the more common scams are. And I
Really?
find this hilarious because it actually identifies AI as a scam. So the AI is identifying AI as a scam. How great is that? Um, so we should start this off, and I'm using this as kind of an example here of talking about language, right?
Mm.
So you're gonna see things like easy work, right? Like it's really easy. I love when they say things like, oh, you don't need a studio, you can record this on your phone.
Right.
That's always a dead giveaway that it's junk.
Or
um
or we don't know you and we'll fly you out
oh yeah.
to a undisclosed
Yeah,
location
yeah,
where
yeah, yeah.
there
The
is a studio.
undisclosed studio location. Like,
Right.
listen, let's get something straight here, guys, right? Anytime anybody's talking about sending you to an undisclosed, like, run away. Okay, run away.
Mm.
Um, yeah, no experience needed. Oh, this is always a great one. We all love this one. It's the opportunity to build a portfolio.
Mm.
Yeah, this
Mm.
work is it's a resume builder. Mm.
Or also the ones that talk about this is an opportunity for steady work, be hired to have umpteen jobs and make X amount of money monthly.
Yes.
No one
Um,
works. No one. We don't work that way.
right.
No.
Well, I mean, the funny thing is we kind of can though. Like there
Well,
are
we're
retainer
more than willing to
contracts.
work that
Yeah,
way if it's real.
there
Like,
are retainer contracts
right,
to
I was
do
thinking retainer. Yeah.
voiceover, but like yes, more often when they come up with this, it's crap. But this is my favorite one, right? That the AI actually said. Data collection slash AI training. Scammers may claim the project involves using your voice for AI training, but this is often a cover up for exploiting your voice.
You think?
Love it. And another one, and this is true because I have seen this over the years for sure. AI voice cloning scams often use the tactic of recording an unscripted conversation, like literally, like you're just recording yourself, talking about the weather or
Mm.
something really weird, right? So that's been a big one for a long time. Let's see. I'm popping over to Nava's website as well and looking at some of the things that they've got here because they actually have something they call the anatomy of a voiceover scam, which is kind of a cool thing that they've
Mm-hmm.
done that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so are there any Anthony, are there any really specific ones that you've seen over the years? Because I have a few.
Oh gosh, yeah. And it's interesting is that a lot of these will make their way throughout the whole like a big portion of our community, right? Like I mean, they really find a way to target people. Here's one that really did a huge number, and it actually almost, well, it got me halfway there, which is interesting, but because I fell for half of it, and then I realized. So basically, the scam was is they would send you um, this opportunity for like a $700 or $800 voiceover job.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and they wanted to have an onboard meeting with you.
Mm.
Okay, and so off the bat, there's nothing fishy. Like it doesn't at front, you can legitimize a lot of that, and don't think that all these scams are stupid,
No.
right? And that's the thing,
Yeah.
right? But what happened was is that there, I got on this phone call,
Mm-hmm.
and this guy from, I think they're from China, and they were trying to get me to sign up for this this like sharing scheme to use my account. So that's
Okay.
one. Now that's a different way to get
Oof.
it, but this is a big one. You'll be contacted asking you to open an account for them, right, in like on Upwork or any of these places, for steady voiceover work, because they're outside of the zones where they can do it, and they want you to do it for them, right, to run their stuff through them, and they'll give you steady voiceover work. I've had to tell multiple people, don't, like, voice actors don't do this, this is, because they inevitably will try to get your information. They try to get you, and then it's illegal. So basically, these people are
Oy,
trying
oy,
to
oy.
circumvent the law in order, and the law, international laws, our laws, to get around, so they can do things without an address, without paying
Mm-hmm.
taxes, without
Mm-hmm.
doing stuff, right? I mean,
Yeah.
it's all, and they're not all about scamming just you. It's
Mm-hmm.
also about using you to help scam other people.
Yeah.
So like that was a big one that went around. The scary ones I've had are the ones where people put in a lot of effort into making it as legitimate looking. Like, you always, so generally off the bat, scams typically are easily spotted for the most parts because the people don't take a lot of time per se in giving a great deal of information behind what they're asking,
Mm-hmm.
right? They'll say things, and then they'll have a Gmail account, or they'll have, like, there's no actual email, there's no actual
Yeah.
at their, which, by the way, make sure you understand that about your business too. Like, if but anyways, the point is so it's easy, but the ones who send, like, who will fill out, and they will give you like 3 pages of a brief of the project,
Mm.
all this stuff. I mean, those ones are the ones that scare me, because they can look legitimately okay,
For sure.
but in the end, I always find it this way, and these are things that I've started to implement myself, is that you have to put a certain set of rules together. Maybe I'm jumping the gun, Gabby,
Mm.
but put a certain I put a certain rules together
Sure.
that people who scams will never do if it's a scam.
Mm.
Right?
Right.
Because one thing a scammer will never do is pay you money.
Right. Right. For sure.
You know,
Um.
so that's a way. There's a lot, there's a couple things, but yeah, but that was a big one to answer that question. That was a big one. I know that I have so many, and I'm trying to now whittle them down to think about them. The AI one is a big one, right? You're right. There are a lot of things for asking you constantly for your voice.
There's been I think a number of situations too over the years where look, a lot of it I think it's you kind of know in your heart you're like something's weird,
Hmm.
right? Something seems strange here. Something's just not quite making sense to me, or something looks a little bit odd, right?
Right.
The language is weird. there's inconsistent things, or there's like their description of what they want for the voice is unlike any voiceover description you've ever seen.
Yeah.
um you'll also see mistakes, like grammatical errors, spelling errors, things that just, like you're like, all right, this person is clearly like a foreign speaker, English is not their first language. But some of them in recent years have gotten really sophisticated, and these are the ones that scare me. It's when they take a real company,
Mm,
okay, a legitimate company,
mm.
and they post a voiceover job that's supposed to be on behalf of this legitimate company. But it's like you said, the email address looks funky.
I
Like,
I have you just oh my gosh. So
mm-hmm,
I had this situation on LinkedIn where a person reached out to me to do an email and they were claiming, or I'm sorry, to do a voiceover, and they were claiming that they were a politician
mm,
from a province or a location in India,
oh wow.
right? And and they were gonna, it was gonna be this, and they wanted me to do the voiceover. Well, I was like, oh, okay. So I thought, well, why don't I look to find this person? And I found the person, but they were not them. And they tell me because they're like the pictures, nothing matched. They were
Mm-hmm,
completely different
mm-hmm,
people.
mm-hmm.
And when I confronted them about it, right, they just disappeared. Right?
Yes.
No, and that's a yeah, that can happen. You just reminded me of that situation, and your heart, part of your heart broken too, because you want it all to be real. That's how they prey on you,
Right.
on
Like,
us. We want it to be real. We want the success.
there was one last year, so it was a makeup company. It was a female-owned, black-owned makeup brand that was actually making waves. Like, people were talking about it. It was very like trendy at the moment. And so this company came up with like this, I mean, it was really elaborate. They were gonna hire somebody for like, I want to say they were offering like $1,000 or $2,000 a month to go on a retainer to record messages for the company. And here was the thing, it all looked extremely real. Not, they had stolen the company's logo, they took their letterhead, or they
Mm.
created a fake letterhead, like, and here was the other thing, everything they were saying seemed very plausible because the retainer that they were mapping out was basically like, oh, you're going to supply the voiceover for our social media content. That, it, like, it sounds super real. So here's the thing, something about the communication that I had early on with the company, something caught my eye as strange, and I'm going to bet it was the email address. I'm going to bet it was the email address of the person communicating with me,
Hmm.
and how the email address had no correlation with the company.
Right, right.
So I went ahead and I jumped on the company's website, and they had a careers tab. So I went to it, and the very first thing I see is a note from the owner, and they're like, hey, so there's somebody impersonating us who's been
Mm.
circling, who has been trying to hire voice actors. That's not us. We don't even do that sort of thing. And I was like, holy
Wow.
crap. Yeah. So I took
Wow.
that, copied it to Reddit,
Yeah.
copied it to a bunch of places. Yeah. And I've
Oh
seen
yeah.
this now 2 or 3 times where it's like, you do, when a company contacts you out of the blue and it's direct, like, you've gotta go look them up.
Right.
You've gotta do your due
Did I
diligence.
ever tell you what happened so I had this, I just did this thing. It was a Christmas and I had this idea. I had a mic. I was gonna do this special where I went on and I had people. I was gonna give away a
Mhm,
microphone. And so and I had the idea. I was on YouTube. I was like, just leave a comment.
mhm, mhm,
Tell me you want, you know what I mean? And whoever it is, I'll pick out. I'll put all these names in a
mhm,
digital spinner or whatever and pick out the one. And they win. Well, I do this, and all of a sudden I start getting these comments or messages saying that, where do I send the money? I'm like, I'm like, no, no, this is no, you're not sending the money. He said, well, you're on this other platform. It's your name saying like
What?
send us like $9, for the entry fee. And I'm like, and I went and I can't remember what platform it was. So it was a social media platform, not one of the major ones, but
Mhm.
it wasn't alignable, but it was what was the spin-off from X? There was what was that one? I can't remember, but it was I think it was a spin-off of Twitter or whatever.
Not Blue Sky, right? Or Blue
No, it wasn't Blue Sky. It
Okay.
was so I don't even know if it wasn't alignable because that's on Twitter, but it was another. But anyways, point is that
Somebody.
someone had created an account with my name because I wasn't on that, and they had posted in the comments. They were replying to people's comments, and people were
Mm.
going to the thing and actually giving these people money. I had to shut down all the. I'm like, you gotta be. And
Oh,
then there was no I couldn't because I was trying to
and
contact the
you're right.
people saying
Oh
this
my
is not me. I
God.
didn't sign up, but I had no way because they had my name, like you know what I mean. And I couldn't do anything about it with because those companies move so
Yeah,
they
for
are
sure.
slow, and I
For
mean
sure.
they don't care about us. So
Similarly, I have a charity that I work with. It's a dog rescue. It's a nonprofit dog rescue here locally. And I've helped them with their website and I've helped them with some marketing stuff in the past. And yeah, the owner had people spoofing their donation accounts through PayPal and through like other platforms. And like then it was their logo. Everything was them except like the username was off by like a couple of characters or something silly. And yeah, she lost out on hundreds of donations that
it's just,
way.
I mean,
It's
I
crazy.
think it stinks that there. I mean, it is. I mean, there are just people who,
Mhm.
unfortunately, I guess, do everything they can to
They're gross.
really scam you. We do have a question here.
Yes.
George says, "Is the antidote to this problem simply not putting one's email address on one's website?"
It's a good
It's
question.
a good question. I
Mhm.
will say, and this is gonna chap your backside, George, is that for every story I have of this, I also have stories of where I thought it was a scam and it turned
Yes.
out to be the Minnesota Vikings. Or I thought I thought when I did that whole stretch for the whole season of the
Mm.
Minnesota Vikings, the guy was a scammer because he literally legitimately did not know what he was the head of their marketing department but had not worked with a voice actor directly because they were just starting their own like internal
Yeah.
department.
Yeah.
So like I thought it because I thought the guy was a scammer. He's like, "Oh, I'm on a plane right now. I'm doing this." Now I'm like, "You're freaking scamming me, man." And it turned out, nope.
Turns
I
out it
was
was
on the
legit.
jumbotrons. It was real. And what? So I was like, well, it does me no harm to send them my demo.
Mhm.
And thank goodness I did. But I legitimately thought it was a scam. So so my opinion is no.
The
You
other
gotta
Yeah.
gotta take the good with the bad, right? Or the
You
bad with the
do.
good.
And the other thing is like I see this a lot where a lot of voice actors try to go like, "Oh, I'm not going to post my email publicly and I'm going to do," and it's like you
Um,
can't do that. You can in
uh,
today's day and age and in this business, you have to be accessible and you can't hide behind
yeah.
right forms and like steps, right? It's always the idea is don't make a potential client work to get in touch with you.
Right.
You have to, like, your email address has to be posted. We don't have a choice.
Mhm.
Now, does it mean you can't use a secondary email that's not your
Right.
primary that, you use to check and filter spam and all the like? Of course. But we can't avoid
Yeah,
that.
I would
Mhm.
say too, like if you use Google Workspace and you have like your email through them,
Mhm.
but you can simply create without spending any extra money,
Yeah.
like a support at your website
Yes.
or client, customer service or
Hmm.
you know what I mean, like something that's not
Yeah.
you and generally. But yeah, but I you have to get your stuff. The people who I see that I coach. I'm sure Gabby does the same thing when I'm looking at websites. I'm like, where's all of your contact information? How are people going to even know how to get a hold of you? Filling out forms. I mean, think about this. How much do you hate
Mhm.
when you can't ever get a hold of someone, you can't talk to someone, and there's a chat
Mhm.
bot? I
Mhm.
can't stand nothing gets me
Mhm.
more irritated, and I don't want to deal with those
Mhm.
people or that
Mhm.
company or anything.
Mhm.
I
You
mean,
know, uh, it's funny and it's like there's this moment though where we also go, all businesses go through this. We're not unique to this. Every industry has something like this right now. We just have to be savvy. And honestly, the more we talk about it too, the more
yes.
we put a dent in these people. Because some of them, I'm amazed by the laziness. I'm
Mm.
amazed by how some
Mm-hmm.
of them are like recycling the same script or doing
Mm-hmm.
the same shtick from like 5 years ago. And so, we just sort of sometimes it's fun to even lead those people on, extract more information, and then share it with the rest of the voiceover community so you save more
Uh,
people the heartache.
that's
Um,
funny.
Interestingly enough, so later this week, we have Vojo, the VO Journey's outspoken women's sorority, our women's group, that's meeting Thursday in the afternoon, and this is going to be our topic. We're going to be talking about some of the scams that women have seen in the industry, and if you think these are ick,
Oh my goodness. Well,
the scams
speaking
that
of,
target women
oh,
directly,
oh yeah.
super
Well,
gross.
we had someone
Mhm.
in our group. So we have a in a VO Journey Academy, right? We also have a spam and scams channel where we
Mm.
share all the recent spam and scams. But we also have, we have a Facebook group too, right? The VO Journey Facebook group. We had a woman the other day post, right, that she was, like being contacted for feet pics during her voiceover stuff. I mean, I'm laughing because it's just so ridiculous, right, and silly. But they're like, we have one scam that I get Paula posed with like, this is the message she got: with strong faith, I am contacting you against all odds. I'm Mr. Poke, blah blah blah. And there's following up the outcome of an investigation. We've been directed to contact you regarding your compensation of $800,000 in
You are
your
making
name.
my blood boil with
And
some
up
of
here
this.
is, and then there's, and then send us back an email. So I will tell you this before we go. One thing that
Mhm.
you do is this is probably one of the most famous scams of all. I used to work at a bank a while ago, and I would get this, and unfortunately, it was sometimes older people who would come, and the scam goes like this. You from another country, you were entered in from something magically you filled out somewhere online. You were entered into a contest and you won some money, but we can't send you the money because we have to transfer the currency. We have to change the currencies. But what we need you to do is send us $2,000 to pay for the currency change, right? And then we'll deposit the money into your bank account,
Oof.
right? So I would get these people who would come and they would, want to get like cashier's checks for a couple $1,000s to send them to these locations, these people who claim that they won something. And I always have to say, I said, okay, and again, it's their money, so they can do whatever they want with it. But I just kind of like, did you actually enter any sort of lottery contest, or
Right,
did
right.
was there anything? Like, well, no. And I'm like, I promise you, no one is just giving you money for not, like, you're gonna give them money. There's
Mhm.
no lottery that works that way, or there's no like contest where you give them a bunch of money first. And that, then
Yeesh.
that's it's just it's but people, I can only assume there are people who are falling for it because they keep running these scams.
For sure. For sure. Tomorrow, we'll have some more examples. I'll pull up some of the script language that's actually being used in these, and we'll take this discussion a little bit further. And yeah, keep sending us your questions, guys.
Thank you, everybody, so much for watching today. Watch out for those scams.
Mm-hmm.
All right. And check out Abios Journey Academy. We'd love to have you. Bye, everybody. Have a great day. Bye bye. All right. Let's